Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, the Yankees, 31 games over 500. Again, you couldn't even imagine this before the season started. 47-16. Win their sixth game in a row on this homestand. Again, 7 games overall. And 14th consecutive win at the new Yankee Stadium against the Tampa Bay Rays, who came in here for, I guess, part 2 of the kind of, you would say, an AL East showdown. Yankees split 2-2 down in Tampa a couple weeks ago. Come up here. Yankees sweep all 3 games. 3 excellent games. Get into all that. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. So if you haven't done already, subscribe, get notified when new content goes up throughout the season. Little wrap-ups like this, little stories, little anecdotes, little whatnot, and some garlic fries. Okay, we'll hold the garlic fries. But make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So if you remember, the previous showdown with the Rays, when the Yankees went down there, the Yankees took the first 2 games, and you kind of got a little greedy a little bit, but then the Yankees dropped the last 2. Now, if you remember, I said at the time, even they split 2-2, you still felt that it was a Yankee win in a way, because just going down there, they got outpitched a little bit by Tampa, not much. The only game that was really kind of lopsided was the first game that the Yankees won 7-2. That was a game where Nestor Cortez, dominated, and then the Yankees tacked some runs on later on. But all 4 of those games are very close. And then you figure, you know what? The Yankees just clean a few things up and just pitch a little bit better than them. That's the formula to beat Tampa Bay Rays. The scores are all going to be low scoring. It's not going to be high octane offense. You're not going to have 10-8 scores. You're not going to have kind of what the Yankees and the Red Sox used to do in the early 2000s, where you would have these 4-hour games of like the final score would look like a football score. It'd be like 14-12 or 10-8, stuff like that. You're not going to get that with the Yankees and the Rays. It's always going to be low scoring, and literally you just got to outpitch them. Their lineup, they could put some runs up here and there a little bit, but it's not a dominating lineup. So you just need a situation where people like Cole, people like Nestor Cortez, or Severino, who unfortunately couldn't pitch in the series. We'll get into that in a second. Just have to go up there and dominate them and just be better than their starters. And that's really it. I mean, it's a simple science. And the Yankees did that this series. So good just to have that feather in their cap, because when it comes to time in October, that's going to be the way to beat them. So just to do it yourself and kind of feel it and know you can do it and can dominate, some of their good starters as well, it just gives you that much more confidence. So for the game itself, so Tampa came in here. Yankees, fresh off of sweeping the Cubs, and on the mound, of course, it was a rematch of what we saw down in Tampa, which unfortunately didn't go good for the Yankees. Corey Kluber, again, the former Yankee, we had him last season against Garrett Cole, and Garrett Cole, previous start, remember he got bombed out in Minnesota, gave up 5 home runs, probably his worst start of his career, maybe his first or second worst start of his career. Had to be yanked from the third inning in that one, but Cole bounced back strong in this one. Was the Garrett Cole, and was throwing blanks up there with Corey Kluber. Kind of annoying part with Kluber, though. This is like now the second game. We haven't really been able to touch this guy. So, you had this guy last season, gave him a shot. He was decent first half a little bit, throws the no-hitter. And then, of course, it has the shoulder issue. Pretty much shut down the second half of the season. Did come back pitching that one Subway Series game. Really wasn't effective. Blew a 5-0 lead. And then really was the non-factor for the Yankees, at least the second half of the season. And then he goes to the Rays. And you know it was going to happen, because the Rays and whatever secret sauce they have with pitchers, whether it's a veteran pitcher or someone they call up from the minors, they sprinkle the secret magic up there, and all of a sudden they become a phenomenal pitcher. And not to say Corey Kluber is phenomenal down there, but doing rather well for Tampa. Again, that's probably the Corey Kluber we should have had last season, but now he's doing it down in Tampa. But nevertheless, to the game itself, this game was tight. Really, the Yankees broke through in the 4th inning, thanks to a single, well, you could call it a single, double by kind of Falefa. Now, Randy Arozarena in left field kind of overthrew Stanton, tried to score at home. Now, they scored it in an error. I could see the error on the first throw. Stanton was going to kind of be in there anyway. You can't assume that the catcher was going to make the play and take Stanton out. So to call that one, and that's, to say that was a run on an error. Not sure about that one, because you can't assume the catcher is going to catch it and cleanly field it and then tag out Stanton. Now, Gleyber Torres had the base running, saw the throw was high. He came home and scored the second run. Now, on that run, that's potentially where you can say, all right, that was scored on an error. So a little kind of puzzling there with the scorekeeping. But nevertheless, at that point, the Yankees had a 2-0 lead. And then from there, Cole gave the Yankees 6, and then the Yankee bullpen, Peralta, Michael King, and then Clay Holmes closed it out. Got a little scary, not scary, I guess, gave the Yankees a little threat there in the 9th inning. Francisco Mejia sent a shot to left, center left, and Judge out there in center field was able to flag the ball down in the gap. But, for a second they thought maybe this could have gone out, or at least would have fallen in for a double or even a triple. With 2 outs, you figure Francisco would just be running on, as soon as he hit the ball. But nevertheless, Judge, the big guy, was able to track it down and secure the 2-0 lead for the Yankees, which then brought us to Game 2 with Nestor Cortez on the mound. And I guess now it's Nasty Nestor. So make sure, I believe it's next Friday, June 24th at Yankee Stadium. You get your Nasty Nestor T-shirts for the first 18,000 fans. Free plug there for the Yankees. But on the mound was Nestor Cortez against probably, you can perhaps say, the Rays' second or best starting pitcher, Shane McClanahan. No relation to Dirty Harry, Harry Callahan of the Dirty Harry series, no relation. But Shane McClanahan, tough lefty, ERA under 2. Again, you could probably say he's the first or second best starter on the Rays. But the Yankees got to him early, thanks to Aaron Judge, bottom of the first inning after a scoreless top frame by Nestor. Hits his 25th home run of the season. I want to call this a Yankee Stadium cheapy home run. I mean, it wasn't totally the right field porch. It was kind of that right bleacher area going towards the Yankee bullpen there a little bit where, again, probably a good amount of ballparks that still would have been a home run. But so I'm not going to call it a Yankee Stadium cheapy home run. But nevertheless, put the Yankees up 1-0. But the big blow of this game occurred in the 5th inning. Donaldson on base, kind of fluffer up at bat with Higgy in the batting deck. And as we know, Higgy's been struggling mightily this season. Yes, he did hit those 2 home runs in the Sunday game against the Cubs, but the second one was a joke. It was, again, the first baseman had to come in the pitch. He was just throwing in knuckleballs and just lobbing in balls, and then he hit his second home run of the season. But overall, it's been a miserable season for Higgy. But so with that in mind, they decided to walk IKF to pitch to Higgy, which made sense at the time, but Higgy made them pay. Took a high inside fastball, turned on it, and blasted it to left field to the shock of many, even to myself watching. Put the Yankees up that point. So 3-run home run with Donaldson and IKF on the base. Put the Yankees up 4-0 at that point, and you're feeling good now. You won the first game. You're beating up McClanahan. But the Rays would answer back. And kind of interesting, I mean, Nestor was all right. When it's pitched into the 6th inning for the Yankees, only gave up the 1 run. But the interesting point, having the game in the 8th inning. Now, Miguel Castro was in for the Yankees, and now Matt Blake, the pitching coach for the Yankees, came out to for a mound visit. As it happened, Kevin Cash decided to bring up G-Man Choi to pinch hit. Now, that move was called, so that prompted now Boone. Now, this is technically going on as Blake is talking to Castro. Boone then prompted to call on Lucas Lucky to come in as a left-handed pitcher to face the left-handed G-Man Choi. So the umpires were kind of not sure about this rule because if technically Blake was up there to visit, that already counted for the visit. You can't have 2 visits in a row because Boone coming out there to yank out Castro would have been technically a second mound visit. So it seemed that the umpires didn't know the rule. It seemed like Boone was not 200% sure. Kevin Cash, after this game, really had no comment on it. But it turned out that they were able to then lift Castro in that spot and put in Lucky. Unfortunately, he wasn't lucky because he didn't do his job. So he was brought in there to face the left-handed batter. Ends up surrendering a back-to-back couple of hits to Choi and Rene Pinto, and actually ended up giving up 2 runs and cut the Yankee lead down to 4-3. So the Rays were crawling back a little bit, which then left it up to Clay Holmes in the 9th inning. And again, this guy has been absolutely phenomenal. Shuts the door on the game, 4-3. Notches his 30th consecutive scoreless inning, which then ties a record held by the great Mariano Rivera. So Clay Holmes there up in some royal company again for 30 consecutive scoreless innings in his appearances, and closed the game out for the save. And now the Yankees have taken the first 2 games and have put themselves 30 games over 500 this early in the season. Again, on pace at that point to win about 118, 119 games. Don't think they're going to do that, but Again, off to an amazing start, which then brings it to the 3rd and final game where the Rays are just trying to save face at this point. Now, a little interesting for both teams. So the Rays, just because of some injuries and just the way the rotation was shuffled, they knew they were going to go to a bullpen game, which is something they invented a couple of years ago, where, again, you bring kind of your 7th to 8th inning kind of pitches to start the game in the first inning, and then you bring in like a minute reliever to do the next 3 or 4, and then you just go bullpen guy for the 5, 6, 7, 8 into the rest of the game. So the Rays knew that that's what they had coming for them. For the Yankees, they got the rug pulled under them. So it turns out that after that Wednesday, that second game, Luis Severino, who was scheduled to pitch the 3rd game, was experiencing some fevers, some chills, and stuff like that. So for COVID protocol, they decided to remove him from the clubhouse and stay away from the team. And so the Yankees had to call on Clark Schmidt for an emergency start. But he came through, was fine, gave the Yankees 3 solid innings. with 5 strikeouts. Now, in Severino's place, they called up from the minors, Ryan Weber, gave him a major league contract for that game, and he actually contributed 3 and 2/3 of the inning himself, only surrendered the only run of the game for the Yankee staff. Kind of a home run to Francisco Mejia, who again hit that shot in the first game, which was caught by Judge, but this time he pulled it more and had one more of your traditional Yankee Stadium type of home runs, just wrapped around the right field pole. He's a right-handed hitter, pulled it, and was able to put the Rays on the board early in the 5th inning with a 1-0 lead. But nevertheless, the Yankees would crawl back very slightly. So with a few runners on, Anthony Rizzo, with the shift on, surprisingly, hits the ball to right field, but somehow even with the shift, they're able to get the ball to drop into right field. LeMahieu scores, ties the game at that point 1-1. And then it came to the bottom of the 9th where that man again, Rizzo, facing Sean Armstrong, hits a Yankee Stadium shot home run to right field bullpen right over the wall there. Again, I'm not going to call it a Yankee Stadium cheapy home run. This was a legit shot towards the Yankee bullpen area again, similar to where the Judge's home run went in the second game, more or less in that same area. But again, for the Yankees, it's a win, a walk-off win, 2-1. And at that point, the Yankees had swept the series, again, all tight ball games, and put themselves up 31 games over 500, 46-16 record. So even without Severino, still have a strong pitching performance by the entire staff collectively. And again, names you would expect, such as Clark Schmidt, Ryan Weber, and then the Yankees go off in walk-off style. And just right now, they're rocking and rolling. And the Yankees, after the game, they announced, for poor Ryan Weber, unfortunately, he gave the Yankees a couple of innings, and they designated him for assignment immediately. Turns out Severino tested negative for COVID, so he will travel with the team to Toronto. So after this series, they do 3 games up in Toronto. Then from there, fly down to Tampa. So 3 more against the Tampa Bay Rays. So again, the Yankees on a bit of a AL East little kick here. They're ahead of both these teams, some cushion. But again, if they could win 2 out of 3 or again sweep 2 more of these series, really put themselves in a real comfortable position. But still with more than half the season to go. But again, Yankees is rocking and rolling here. Take all 3, and again, everything's just clicking all right for the Yankees. Even now, Higgy's getting home runs, so that's good. So again, just some other players, maybe like Hicks, still need to come around. Did get booed in that second game. Again, had a situation with ICAF on third base with less than 2 outs. Just needed a sac fly ball, but Hicks ended up striking out there in a big spot and heard it from the Yankee Stadium crowd. So still a little tweaks there that need to be made. But again, things are good in Yankee land. So this week, actually, I did a guest spot on Yankees Morning Brew. He's someone who was on this show a couple of weeks ago, so he invited me onto his show, and we kind of, after the first Yankee win against Tampa, we actually kind of broke down that game a little bit. So if you want to go on YouTube, you should be able to check the Yankees Morning Brew, flick around for it. I believe it was after that first game. If you want to catch that, they come in like on the it was like the 27th minute part of that there. So if you really want to fine tune to see my amazing guest spot, you can check that out. But nevertheless, thank you for listening. And again, if you haven't done it already, subscribe. Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you're listening to us, subscribe and get notified when new content comes up throughout the rest of the season. And since I started this thing this season, the Yankees have a pretty magical year so far. So I'm going to take credit for it. I think it's the podcast that's behind all these Yankees wins. So you chew on that and catch you next time.